Welcome to LFN News, a production of LFN Media, bringing you the latest in celebrity news, with specific analysis to keep you in the know of what is going on around you. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. We also encourage you to share your comments in the comments section below and let us know what you think about the issue under discussion and any other issue you may want us to discuss in the future. The idea that cases are always appealed is widely held, but rarely does the convicted party automatically have the opportunity to appeal. Not merely the fact that the convicted disagreed with the decision is typically not enough to support an appeal, there must be an alleged significant mistake in the trial. R. Kelly was in September 2021 convicted in a New York jury of racketeering in violation of the Mann Act. During the weeks-long trial, the jury established a pattern where the alleged victims say they would see Kelly at a show or out in public, and an associate of his would hand them a phone number to call. From there they would allegedly be ensnared in a system of manipulation and control. R. Kelly was on Wednesday, June 29 sentenced to 30 years in prison, months after he was convicted, becoming yet another celebrity of the Me Too era to be convicted. He was sentenced in New York by federal judge Ann Donnelly, who spoke at length before issuing the sentence, where she quoted, "No price was too high for someone else to pay for your happiness." Now, in most states, the only party with the right to appeal in a criminal case is the defendant. In certain places, the prosecution has a limited right of appeal to settle specific legal issues. These appeals often take place prior to the start of the trial. Due to the U.S. Constitution's ban on double jeopardy, or being tried twice for the same offense, appeals by the prosecution following a verdict are often not permitted. Criminal defendants who are found guilty in state courts are further protected. They may petition a writ of habeas corpus in the federal courts after exhausting all of their state-level options of appeal in an effort to prove that their rights under the federal Constitution were violated. The right to a federal review imposes the federal court's check on any abuses in state courts. It should be noted that a case appeal does not constitute a new trial or retry. New witnesses or fresh evidence are typically not taken into account by the appeals courts. Such is the case of R. Kelly's appeal. Now, appeals are frequently founded on claims that the judge's application of the law or the trial process was flawed. Ideally, a notice of appeal is filed, which starts the appeal process. The time period during which the appellant must submit a brief, written argument, outlining their interpretation of the facts, and the legal justifications for their request to have the trial court's decision reversed. By submitting a notice of appeal, the appeal is started. This submission starts the deadline for the appellant to submit a brief, which is a written argument outlining that side's interpretation of the facts and the legal justifications for wanting the trial court's decision reversed. Not longer than a week ago, R. Kelly finally formally informed a federal court that he intends to appeal his conviction. Although the grounds for appeal are not mentioned in R. Kelly's initial notice of intention to appeal, we all know his lead attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, has always argued that the decision by prosecution to impose racketeering charges on his client was overreaching and completely unjust. The appeal court decides if there were any mistakes made when the law was applied by the lower court. A trial court will often only be overturned for a legal mistake, but not every legal mistake justifies reversal. Some are innocent mistakes that have no impact on the party's entitlement to a fair trial. For instance, in a criminal case, a higher court may decide that the trial judge instructed the jury in a manner that was legally inappropriate, but if the error was slight and, in the appeal court's judgment, had no impact on the jury's decision, the appellate court may uphold the guilty conviction. However, a legal mistake, such as the admission of false evidence, may be deemed damaging and hence reversible. In the case of Bill Cosby's appeal, which was also handled by same lawyer, Jennifer Bonjean, the split court found that Cosby was unfairly prosecuted because the previous district attorney had promised the comedian, once known as America's Dad, that he wouldn't be charged over Constand's accusations. Cosby was charged by another prosecutor who claimed he wasn't bound by that agreement. The court said that's not the case. The justices found that Cosby relied on that promise when he agreed to testify without invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in a lawsuit brought against him by Constand. The court concluded that the prosecutor who later brought the charges was obligated to stick to the non-prosecution agreement, so the conviction could not stand. The justices wrote that denying the defendant the benefit of that decision is an affront to fundamental fairness, particularly when it results in a criminal prosecution that was foregone for more than a decade. In this case, that legal mistake that was made by the prosecutor was deemed damaging and hence reversible, resulting in the overturn of Cosby's conviction. In R. Kelly's case, Bonjean maintains that there was no RICO or Racketeering Act violation, and that whatever allegations shared were isolated events that happened many years ago, and the government simply tried to plead around the statute of limitations to bring it in a RICO charge, which was inappropriate. All I can tell you is there was no enterprise. There was no enterprise. It was one man with allegations by a number of women, which doesn't make it an enterprise, and that is why he's not guilty of racketeering. Bonjean stresses. She confirms R. Kelly and his legal team are very excited about the appeal and are confident their arguments will persuade the Court of Appeals. Usually, the judges of the appeals court will convene for a conference to examine a matter after it has been orally argued or otherwise presented for decision. Appellate courts frequently publish their rulings in writing, especially when they deal with new legal precedents or new interpretations of the law. One judge will usually be assigned to write an opinion during the session. Before the majority of the court agrees with the opinion, it could go through multiple revisions. Judges who disapprove of the majority judgment are permitted to write a dissenting opinion. Judges who concur in the outcome of a majority decision but disagree with the logic behind it are permitted to provide a concurring opinion. The appeals court will occasionally only publish an unsigned opinion. Unless the convicted files yet another appeal with a higher court, the matter is over if the appeals court upholds the lower court's decision. If the appeals court just dismisses the case, the lower court's ruling likewise remains, usually for reasons of jurisdiction. If the decision is overturned, the appeal court will often return the matter to the trial court and direct it to take additional action. It may direct that the trial court conduct a new trial, modify or rectify the trial court's judgment, re-examine the facts, gather fresh evidence, or re-evaluate the case in light of a recent appellate court ruling. Although no new evidence will be heard in R. Kelly's appeal, analysts have mentioned that there are very high chances R. Kelly's conviction will be overturned on particular technicalities already cited by Bonjean. Besides, Bonjean seems to have captured all emerging evidence in the pre-sentencing submission, which still makes it part of the trial's four walls, that will be considered for appeal. If you have any prediction on how R. Kelly's appeal will go down, please let us know in the comment section below. We value your honest opinion. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification icon. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.